And today, comrades, as I look out upon the field of battle where our forces will be victorious so very shortly, my heart is filled with pride at our great upcoming victory. Enlist today.
All in!
Welcome to the road to war. All right, this is the moment you have waited for and trained for all week. So let's go straight into it. The nation of Southern Levant was established in the wake of the Second World War and was immediately controversial as the land seized to establish the country was claimed by multiple neighboring nations. Several wars were fought in rapid succession. However, the small new nation of Southern Levant hung desperately to political power and their national sovereignty. In the decades since, a few neighboring nations have recognized the legitimacy of Southern Levant, while other nations nearby and around the world reject the legitimacy of the country. To the north, the nation of Sidon, which itself is divided by the Canaanites of Sidon and the Taji sword. The Canaanites rule the upper half of Sidon, and the Taji sword rules the lower half with Sidon. While the Canaanites have recognized the legitimacy of Southern Levant, the Taji sword does not. In fact, the Taji sword often collaborates with the Farsi plateau, which has for many decades sworn to defeat Southern Levant. Recent events. The Farsi plateau deployed medium-range missiles to the region controlled by the Taji sword more than a year ago, and a sustained reign of terror has persisted. Farsi missiles strike towns in Southern Levant seemingly at random. Southern Levant Defense Forces manage effective countermeasures, but even this advanced technology cannot defeat every threat. A few Farsi missiles always get through. The civilian casualties are mounting. Latest intelligence. Elements of the SLDF Elite Raiders unit have begun infiltration of the Taji Sword region to seek out and destroy Farsi missile systems. The Raiders appear to have the marking targets for destruction, capturing prisoners, and conducting small unit attacks. The Farsi allies are relying on the Taji Sword to defend their missile assets. The Southern Levant Raiders wear multi-cam uniforms. They carry AR-15 type rifles and have LSW weapons. They have modern night vision and tactical communications capability. The Taji Sword Militia wear woodland uniforms. They also carry AR-15 rifles, carbines, and LSWs, and also have modern night vision and tactical communications capability. Hello, welcome to today's edition of Pegasus Test. On today's edition, we're covering the Bravo Company 1 Shepherd Spring 2022 Final Training Exercise. So the FTX begins with each side doing their pre-combat inspections. And while the pre-combat inspections are going on, the command teams get their missions briefings.
All right, guys. Let's talk about the AO you are going to be airborne dropped into. We're going to drop you into, you're going to tell me how many we need to drop you into, but last I heard, you were going to break into 2 fire teams and a command team, right? And I think that's still a good plan. So we will do, unless you tell me otherwise, 3 drops. Your AO, the area, you know what you're after. You're after an MLRS, is what you guys are doing. So if the MLRS comes in, you guys need to observe and find that. They are trying to cover this thing up as civilian, but when you're bigger than a tank and as heavy as a tank, you know, that's obviously kind of hard to hide. I don't, what do you have that as? Like, you know, Girls Gone Wild pontoon boat on a tractor trailer? So your AO, I mean, be very, very prescriptive. That red dot is supposed to be a fence line, and most of the time it is a fence. Be advised, sometimes it is not a fence.
I can confirm there's a gap up there.
Yep, so that's a fence, and the red down here. Let me show you what we're worried about. It's really this. This guy's, we don't want to go into his shit, right?
Yeah, that.
All right, so let's go over it. We're up here. First hardball is Summit Point Road. Don't step on the hardball, guy. Then they got that fence line going down here. Then you got hardball. ball down to here, cuts this way. I don't know why this thing's even here. I don't understand that. But and then it goes down here. All right. Then it goes. Look at that. That Kyrgyzstan. Just don't step on the hard belt. And so what you're doing here in this area is I need surveillance. The MLRSs that the Farsi Plateau provided, they're keeping them moving. They keep them hidden. They're doing, button, who's got the button. It's very hard for us to determine where they are in spite of their size. And then they move them out into firing positions. This we have triangulated multiple times as one of their preferred firing positions. So what we need you to do is go in there, get eyes on. This is surveillance and reconnaissance. You are an ISR asset. What we're going to give you is they're going to look a lot like game cameras, but they're not. We're going to give you 4 game cameras. What these are they are seismic radars. So what these do, remember how heavy this damn vehicle is.
You can actually recover them from the previous patrol and then replace them. They are on the 4 cardinal points of the farmhouse.
Like, are they physically on the building, or do I have to go look into the brush for them?
3 are physically on or practically at arm's length of the building. The one to the north is on a T-post facing north, and it's rather obvious where it is.
Okay.
They're this big. They're game cameras. They're rather bulky.
So the one facing, covering approaches coming from the
That's
east.
the farmhouse on that little knoll. This is the barn.
Chris, the one facing due north is on a T-post in front of the house overlooking the field.
Okay.
The one to the east is literally on the porch. The one to the south is just it's within an arm's length of the house. The one to the west, I don't know who put that in there, it's literally just hanging on a bush facing the deck.
So you'll need to retrieve those and you'll need to spread them. Basically, figure out what the 4 corners means to you. Here's what they do. They do 2 things. One, they detect very heavy vehicles moving in. I can't tell what kind of vehicle, but it can certainly say, damn, that's a heavy vehicle moving into the AO. And if you spread them out, we can triangulate with that where they are, so we can call in JDAMs or cruise missiles.
Okay.
This is 5 miles behind the DMZ.
Okay.
This is their division rear area. Okay? You should not be looking at, crack their infantry, but you will look at security forces in the rear area. And civilians, no bueno. You don't want to be seen by civilians. You don't want to mess with civilians. They will rat you out in a heartbeat. Okay?
There's no friendly forces.
There are no friendly forces here. So what you need to do is some surveillance and reconnaissance. You need to get those seismic radars out, because that will let us know when they move in, and it will give us a very good indication of, it's not like an 8-digit grid, but it gives us a very clear indication of where they are.
And it's up to, you said up to me to where exactly to place them, but you need 1 north, west, east, south.
Something like that, yep.
Okay.
Yep, cardinal directions work for me.
Understood.
Wherever you can locate them, but yeah, the more spread out they are within this AO,
The better results I'm going to get.
that's right.
Okay, how do I communicate to you, like, where they are and where I've placed them and when I've placed them? Oh, radio, but...
You just, when you get them done, let us know that is done.
Okay.
And then continue to monitor. Because here's what we're going to do. We're going to keep you in here, guys, for the next 48 hours. We're going to drop you in, and then we're going to have you E&E out of it. And in that time, if an MLRS moves in, we are going to have you go kinetic.
Okay.
All right? So that would definitely, if it moves in 12 hours, and we say go kinetic, obviously this isn't going to be a 48-hour mission. You're going to go kinetic, because again, we just don't know when it's going to move in.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So that's what we're doing. Eyes on, ISR, and that's your ISR asset, is the seismic radars. All right.
Okay.
And so that's the overview, and that you'll be doing this for the next 48 hours. So I need to know, you have some time to plan, but I need to know what your drop points are. Hold on. Almost forgot the most important part. Your command team needs to link up with dang it, where is this? It's right here. Your command team, there's going to be 2 partisans to meet your command team.
Okay.
They want to link up with you there. So I'm going to, one of your insertion, we're going to airdrop you your command team as close as one can possible to that, because somewhere in this area, you've got a couple of partisans. You'll recognize them bearing your uniform. And they will help you. They'll be your guides for this AO. All right?
Okay.
It's your mission. You're in command. They're just partisans, but they, you know, if they meet civilians, they speak the language, all of that stuff.
You said I'm being airdropped, not air assaulted. Okay.
No, I can't get a helicopter back there. No.
There's no opportunity for a helicopter back
No, you're doing a halo.
Okay. Are we trained and capable of doing a fulsome extraction? With the balloon, the little seat, if you're going to come pull my guys back out?
A fulsome extraction?
Yeah.
That you can't request. Yes.
Okay.
All right.
Fucking K.
Here's your mission. Situation. Just so we're clear. SLDF are defending a broad front along the DMZ from further enemy incursions. Taji Sword has increased combat patrols in the DMZ, primarily on foot. And of course, we know that they are using the Farsi Plateau provided MLRS. Daily temperatures are just as you think. They're going to be daily highs in the low 60s, nightly lows in the low 30s. They're going to be rather brisk, cooler than normal. But the good news is, of course, that we have very, you know, the precipitation. Humidity is supposed to be about 35, so comfortable. And precipitation is literally 1%, next day 2%, next day 4%. So we are talking like almost no chance. So that's a good thing. Your mission as a Raider Detachment D Squadron, that is you, will infiltrate into enemy territory via vertical insertion. 3 separate drops. There will also be, just so you know, there'll be false insertion, other aircraft flying at different points along the DMZ. And we will do 3 separate drops. I'll be dropping you at 1200, 1230, and 1300. Command team, you tell me which one you want, but I would recommend the 1300 for you guys, but whichever one you want. I'm doing 3 separate drops at 1200, 1230, and 1300. One drop will be here, and then where do you want your other drops?
Command team goes first. Drops here, lands, gets either all 4 devices or just 2. I'm not sure which. Then backs its ass off, goes rushing up the danger area, meets the partisans, and does the north and does the west.
Okay,
the later units can get dropped in a safer spot and grab them and do the slightly safer mission.
So after the OPFOR had been briefed on their mission and they were moving out to prepare for it, it was time to brief the Blue 4.
You've heard the social political situation. So, here's the thing. Just so you know, you're a military police unit. Now let's cut to the chase here, guys. We make a whole lot of jokes, you know. It is true, you can't spell wimp without MP. But, no, the reality is that military police, just so you know, there's 2 types of military police, at least in the Army. I don't know how the other branches do it, but there is post police, which is everything you think of. They've got cruise controls and handcuffs. And then there's the rear security police. That's what they literally do. They task organize themselves as an infantry platoon, just as you have, and they literally go around with up-armored Humvees and automatic grenade launchers. They're TOE, and in fact, their battle drills and everything they're organized like infantry, all right? Because what they do is rear security. So here we are. We are the Taji Sword. You are an MP company, and so we are the division. We are a division asset. You are an MP platoon, division asset. Actually, there's a whole entire company, and your sector is this entire thing. Here, 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 here. Hard ball. Little jump. Hard ball. hardball. Got it?
Got it.
That's your whole 210-acre AO.
Yep. Cross the hardball and you die, kind of thing, right?
And it is, from this point to this point, 1,600 meters, 1 mile.
We're jumping from the...
All right, again, you are 5 miles behind the DMZ, so you are definitely in the combat area, but you're definitely also not on the front lines. And there's a reason you're not, this is one of the areas that our multiple MLRSs, multiple launch rocket systems, this is one of the areas that they come because it's nice and flat. We have some places that they prefer to come on in here and shoot, and we know that the Southern Levant have been conducting raids deep into our rear territories because they want to obviously defeat the gift that the Farsi Plateau has given us, and fuck them, right? So, all right. So what I need you to do for the next 48 hours, you will be conducting screening operations here. Obviously, this is our area, so please don't shoot civilians. You have free fire. You see the enemy, figure out the best way to destroy them, and destroy them.
Does Southern Levant have artillery assets?
This far back, they are, unless they come in with bombers, they are outside the range of their...
Are bombers in play?
What I'm telling you is you're doing screening operations for 48 hours. How long can you use a patrol base? What's the maximum time you can use it? 24.
I was thinking like 36, but...
It's 24. You can have a patrol base, and then you won't. You'll have to go move that patrol base. Why? Because you don't want the bad guys to come get you. There you go. Situation. Friendly. Taji Sword has increased patrols along the DMZ due to enemy incursions. For that reason, we are also increasing the security patrols, which is what your platoon is tasked to, and the division rear area, protecting our assets. Enemy situation. Enemy SF Raider patrols are infiltrating and conducting hit-and-run tactics, targeting our MLRS gifts from the Farsi Plateau. Mission. 4th Platoon, Matty Regiment MPs will conduct screening patrols for the division throughout the AO we've just defined. Commander's intent is to destroy enemy assets in our AO through aggressive zone reconnaissance, spoiling attacks, ambushes in order to screen the movement of Taji Sword's strategic mobile missile systems.
One more time, please.
Destroy enemy assets in our AO with aggressive reconnaissance, spoiling attacks, ambushes to screen our mobile missile assets. Right now, we don't have any of the missiles in right now, okay, in the AO, just so we're clear. And if we're moving them in, we will give you a heads up that they are moving in. But this is one of their preferred firing area, AOs. ROE guidance, it's open. PL has authority to order the use of deadly force against any patrols in the AO. Caution civilian foot and vehicle traffic along main supply routes. Casualty plans. All right. 4th Platoon will be reinforced for casualty losses, that's your respawn, at the top of even numbered hours.
The two partisans that were mentioned in the briefing to the Southern Levant Raiders were actually OCs. They were 1 Shepherd Black Hats, and they played the role of partisan for a very good logistical reason. Since the Raiders were supposed to be a highly mobile and concealed, broken up force that would mass together when it needed to and then break apart for protection, we needed a way to switch out OCs but not compromise these patrols. And embedding the OCs into the group as partisans was the perfect way to do it. They had a God gun with them. They could resurrect people. They could participate in the fight, but they could take no leadership or command decisions. The first insertion for the OPFOR was their command team that was tasked with linking up with the partisans.
Everybody clear on the plan?
Yep.
Board keep relayed to me the plan.
We are going to put in here the head spring.
Who are we meeting?
We are meeting nobody. We're meeting two insurgents, partisans, yeah. So we're meeting two partisans there. We are going to recon that area. If it happens to be clear, we're going to make our way down there. And then boogie, of course, dropping off all our heavy gear here. And while we're doing that, the comms team is going to be putting it up here. Okay. Walking down this line. Hopefully, by the time we're done, completing our objective, getting 4 objectives, we'll be back there and we'll meet them there for supper.
Dropping altitude, slowing to stall speed. 1 minute warning. Stand in the doors. Little turbulence, we got it.
Set.
All right. So, the quote-unquote, the notional vertical insertion, our fine young Southern Levant Raiders just dropped off their first team. Command team went out the door, and in 30 minutes, their signal team will be delivered to a different AO, or excuse me, a different drop point within the AO, and 30 minutes later followed on by their weapon crews. So they're at this point trying to hook up with the partisans. All right, so here's the thing. What we're doing is we're doing false insertions here. False insertions are a big part of infiltration. They serve many different things, but mostly it's battlefield or tactical deception. How we're achieving that here in the EM50 is we are making empty runs, stopping at different spots, opening the doors in a sequence that sounds like we're letting off troops and getting back in. And then, honestly, to give some kind of like practical what are they doing, we're dropping off the trash bags, huge 55-gallon drum trash bags at the trash point. So it looks like we're doing something rather industrious, right? But again, it's all part of the deception plan.
The second Op 4 team to insert was their electronic intelligence team. Yes, even in a simulation like this, you can have electronic intelligence going on. They made their insertion pretty much problem-free.
Okay, we have done the second insertion of the ELAN team into the AO. Again, we continue to do insertions and false insertions for the infiltration. So, pushing on with the mission. Gonna be a short flight. We're gonna get airborne. We're gonna be in enemy territory almost immediately.
What's our turbulence like today?
Not good. Turbulence in the air quality's been fine, but we've been taking ground fire the whole fucking time.
Ground fire. Damn it.
Yeah, you didn't get the word? No, I'm not joking.
That's why we moved. That's why we aren't first.
That's right. We already had 2 birds heavily damaged. They weren't shot down, but they were heavily damaged.
The third assertion ended up being a failed attempt. What happened was, due to some real-world training and some encroachment on our training area, we incorporated that into the training scenario by saying it was enemy ground fire denying access to our aircraft. And what we did is we held back this third group and reinserted them at a later time into the FTX.
All right, so one of the great challenges of being an OC during an FTX simulation is inserting and extracting your observer controllers, your OCs. And so we've learned over 41 years of service to do this very, very subtly so that we don't flag the different teams inside the simulation. Today, we have an issue where we cannot get communication with the Blue 4, and so we're going to have one of our black hats subtly, quietly insert into this simulation. Generalissimo El Jefe, what is your plan?
Well, Grand General, sir, we have a young lieutenant out there whose radio etiquette is less graceful than a monkey fucking a coconut. And I'm going to gently correct him in a fatherly manner with my boot.
Do you think you can do it without giving away his position?
Oh, without a doubt. We have done this many times before with great success in the past. It is essentially a done deal.
God bless you. Hi.
Young Lieutenant, you seem to have lost something. Take a look.
SOS?
Mm-hmm.
We've been distributing them out.
I see. So why haven't you been using them?
We're about to switch over to using them. My RTO is not as experienced as I would like. We're getting her up to speed.
So it's the RTO's fault.
Oh, it is my fault.
So you've chosen to be broadcasting in the open for hours instead of distribute the SOI you were provided.
Yes.
Okay.
That was a deliberate attack. We're in high-risk areas. And we believe that if infiltrators got one of them, that our SOIs would be broadcasting the open.
I see. Well, you're going to have a lot of time to contemplate the value of that going forward with the events that will likely incur because of your operational security breaches. Okay, you're dismissed.
Thank you. We will not be needing these. Or
I think
these
you will.
new SOS.
I think you will.
Okay, thank you.
You're dismissed.
Okay.
The day was hot and the packs were heavy. So after the Blue 4 established their patrol base, they sent out a watering party. This was the first One Shepherd semester where we implemented the use of Lister bags to simulate wells. Previously, in other FTXs, we had put out a series of water cans, or students could call upon higher headquarters to give them water resupply. This time we deployed 2 Lister bags, each to simulate a well, and that made watering up an exercise where security had to be pulled, and it made it almost an operation unto itself. So several hours later, the real-world training that was going on at our training area that prevented us from doing the insertion of the third team abated, the area opened up, and we could do the insertion. Of course, the students were informed that it was just the flak was dying off, and we kept up with the simulation, got the third team inserted, and continued with the mission.
Let's go.
Hurry up. 2. Please get out, please.
All right, so 16:30, we just dropped the third team, the heavy weapons team, plussed up. Haven't heard much from the ground teams, but this one was delayed due to ground fire, delayed by 6.5 hours. So they are going to try and link up with the partisans, and we are doing, after that insertion, we are doing yet another false insertion here in just a few minutes. So that'll be, what was it? 5 false insertions and 3 actual insertions. So, all right, that's what we got.
While the last insertion was going on, and while the Blue 4 was watering up, the first teams inserted by the Op 4 were recovering the sensors, which were game cameras, and in placing them on the 4 cardinal points of the training area. And these were, as mentioned earlier, seismic devices that can detect the approach of the MLRS. The next morning, Dr. Lawson and I went and relieved the OCs that had the night duty. We joined the Blue 4 at their patrol base, got a report on what they had done the night before and what they intended to do for the next day.
So these guys went out on patrol last night. Tell me what you saw and did, guys.
Okay, so what we did is first we headed north, got up to the fob, began to cloverleaf and work our way around the AO to the northeast, and then back down south, clearing and cloverleafing all the way. Then eventually came down to the farmhouse where we discovered the other well, and then backtracked up to the roadway where we found a one-way in, one-way out path, just like a patrol base should be, where everything's in one spot. As a recon team, playing by the rules, we understood that We're a two-man element. If we run into contact, we're probably not coming out of it, which means we can't share this information. So we cloverleafed the rest of that sector except for that spot. Came back, reported the hire, and now we're going to conduct recon by force when we have the numbers and daylight advantage during the day.
Shortly after, the Blue 4 decided they were going to move their patrol base because they'd been there for about 24 hours. And they did a reconnaissance, they found a new patrol base, and then the main body moved out to that new patrol base. As you can see here, it may look risky that they're moving in an open field where somebody at long range could ambush them pretty hard. But the fact of the matter is, in the scenario, they're behind their DMZ. They're 5 miles back, as a matter of fact, and they are a security element. This is home territory for them. So it is perfectly natural to move through an open area like this in a fairly administrative manner. Upon occupying their new patrol base, Dr. Larson gave the patrol leader and the APL kind of a refresher lesson of things you want to be doing as you establish your patrol base.
In that direction. They're further out. I mean, they're not. What's here? This is squad 3. Where's squad 2? I haven't had contact with them. No, I mean, where are we gonna be?
We'll be there.
Everything's gonna be up here?
Oh, we'll put them in there.
Yeah. No, I'll check it out. No, I don't know. I haven't seen that position, so. Let me back up. I'll go 25,000 for you. There's many things you guys have to do as command team. Many things. You have to shoot bad guys and shoot more bad guys and kill the bad guys and shoot the bad guys. Okay, lots to that. Really. Here's the 3 things I'm trying to tell you my command teams consistently fail at. Number 1. So, you don't need to write it down. It's real simple. Array your force. Have a solid defensive force posture. That over there, I don't know what that was. Use the terrain to make some kind of geometric-ish shape, circle, cigar, triangle, pentagon. I don't care. Array your force so that your combat power is spread across advantageous terrain. So the first thing you do is you don't get overrun. Okay? Array your combat power across terrain in a large position. Number 1. Number 2, so you get that security up, right? Number 2, position yourself somewhere where it's advantageous for you. Typically this is a center, but as you and I discussed, it does not need to be the center. It needs to be advantageous, as in, can I command and control my entire arrayed force? And can I talk to higher, way far away in this depression? So find out where it works for you, right? No, this is called signal. You have to array your combat force, array your force, then a signal plan. Which part of that is where do you command and control your arrayed force, and how you report to higher, and use SOIs and all that wonderful shit that comes with signal. Number three, rest cycles. It's actually called a recovery cycle because it's feeding, cleaning weapons, resting. It's number 3. These are the 3 things that in any military school, command teams fail at. They fail. You want to know why? Because they're thinking, kill the enemy, find the enemy, kill the enemy, find the enemy, kill the enemy. Shit. Your fire team leaders can do that. Your squad leaders are great at this. You know what they need from you? Array your force. Get a signal plan. Get a rest cycle, recovery cycle going. Let them figure out the rest of it, or you guide them on the rest of it. That's what and I don't care what the answer is. I don't care what it is. I mean, as long as you can defend it, you're golden, right? Just do those 3 things, because these are the unsexy things that all new command teams, they've been killing people so long that they don't think of those things. And this is why, in the military schools, this is why they fail at that, okay? So do those 3 things, you guys will be golden, okay?
I think we're doing pretty
The PL of the Blue 4 had made notice of the enemy using a drone and came up with a plan. I'll let him explain.
Okay, so the situation is, when we had our old PB here, we were buzzed by a drone repeatedly, and now that we have moved our PB here, we've also had reports of a drone buzz this area. When I tried to send out my personal quadcopter drone, commercial of the same size and type, different manufacturer around this area, my range and signal degradation was approximately 500 meters. So, triangulating from these positions, we assume that the drone operator is around this area. And since we have had no contact the entire day, our thinking process is that they're ordered to not engage us, that they have very limited ability to do foot patrols due to the risk of that. So I sent a recon out in this area to beat bush and try and find that drone operator.
The PL sent out the bulk of his force, keeping just a small element back to secure his patrol base. Basically what he decided is where his patrol base was on the center line of the training area, and that he was going to stomp the whole north side to find that enemy based on the outline plan he just gave you. So, were they successful? Darn near. We would find out later in the AAR that they almost walked up upon the enemy. The only reason they didn't, there was a miscommunications from the command element down to the squad and team leaders about exactly how far they were going, or how long they were going out, and different people had different ideas about what was going on. And when one part of the element started to turn back to the PB based on what they thought was a time limit versus the other part of the patrol thinking they had a distance limit, the whole sweep just kind of broke down and then ended up falling back to base. Turns out later in the AAR we found out from the Op 4 that they were literally meters away from stepping on them, and it was only extreme discipline on the Op 4's part that they did not initiate a firefight. After a close call on that sweep, the Op 4 took the opportunity to get a water resupply and then prepare for their night's mission. And what was that night's mission? Intel came up that the MLRS was going to be coming into the area in the early hours of the morning. Due to their sensor placement, they were given a pretty good area of where that MLRS was going to make its firing point, and they were to destroy it before it could fire. Now the Blue 4 knew that MLRS was coming too. They were giving a couple hours notice, and they set in and prepared their defense. They had the advantage over the Op 4 of knowing exactly where the MLRS was going to be, and they prepared accordingly. The Op 4 attacked in a three-prong attack and took a good amount of casualties during their attack. One whole prong was pretty much wiped out, but that allowed the other prongs to put devastating fire onto the MLRS and achieve its destruction. And what they had to do to destroy the MLRS was the MLRS EM50 was covered in mile sensors, and there were three distinct sensors on the vehicle, and one kill was a mobility kill, meaning the vehicle was mobilized. Two sensors being hit meant it was neutralized and unable to fire, and all three was the vehicle was completely destroyed, which in fact what happened due to the amount of fire put into it. Basically they had to just pour small arms fire into it until the vehicle detonated or achieved a mission or mobility kill. But the fight wasn't over at that point. Op 4 then had to extract, and they had the Blue 4 hot on their tail. Guys, this is where we ask you to use your imagination a little bit, because you have to do that in simulations. Yes, you're seeing our EM50 pull up on all four wheels and people getting in on the ground, but the truth of the matter is this was a Fulton Star extraction system, and the Fulton Star uses people wearing a special suit with a balloon, and a specially equipped plane comes by, snags the balloon line, and the line pulls the people into the aircraft. It's a very quick, it's a very effective system, also a very dangerous system. Obviously we can't do that in a simulation, so we did the best we could. What you're seeing here is the first attempted extraction. We got to the extraction site and there were no OP4 there. However, there was plenty of Blue 4, so this extraction was compromised.
Security dock.
See you, brother.
All right, your first extraction point was occupied by enemy and we took ground fire.
Understood.
So I don't know where the hell they are. So we decided to come check to see if you guys were here early. 3 of you were. That's a good deal. So you guys are safely extracted.
We're instructed there are only 4 allowed per extract.
Whoa. Dude, there's bad guys right there too. Taji Sword was looking at us in the field, walking towards your position. I am not making that up. I just went over, I was like, who? I looked and I caught it and I was like, are those your guys? I was like, nope, that's Woodland, and they just looked at me and I went, fuck.
Maybe next time.
It's a good thing those guys missed their extraction. You guys might be shot to pieces right now.
How'd it go? First impressions.
I don't know, there's a lot to process on this one. We were out there a long time, did a lot of shit, but not much contact. But this morning, it's pretty intense. Clusterfuck would probably scratch the surface in terms of extraction. So there are dudes all over the place. I came back with, he was supposed to be there, but he was supposed to go to a different extraction, but his shit was cut off, so he came to ours. But apparently we took casualties, so there was a boat space for him. So that's about the extent of it right now. So.
We circled back around after dropping off the first team, and the original team was pretty close to their original extraction point. We extracted them under fire, got them in and out of there just in the nick of time. And then we had to go extract the final team. And this is where I got to give an apology here. I had good footage of that final extraction, but unfortunately a computer glitch corrupted the file. So here's the verbal synopsis. We got to the third team. The Blue 4 was on their game. They had figured out with 2 close calls on the extraction that the third team could only be one place. They amassed their force around that place, and that pickup point for the third team was somewhat exposed, and from where their covering concealment was to where the EM50 was, and as they made the mad dash of the field, an entire platoon opened up on them and basically dumped the remainder of their ammo into them. One of the members got close enough to actually touch the EM50 before he died in a grotesque and military manner, but that team was completely wiped out on their extraction. And with the elimination of the third team, it was Index for this FTX. So everybody was recovered back to the FOB, and we had an AAR. This was a very extensive AAR. It went into great detail and would make this video entirely too long. So what I intend to do is publish a separate video in a few days with the complete AAR for those who asked for it, can watch it. If you've watched this whole video and would love to see what the Warriors learned from each side and what they did, what was behind their thought processes, this would be something worthwhile to watch. We had a very fortunate happenstance right after the completion of the AAR. A local Civil War reenactor came by on his horse as mounted cavalry and gave us a living history presentation of the unit he was representing that had direct historical lineage to his family, and just overall what the role of a cavalryman would do and what equipment he would have. It was super interesting and very well received by all our warriors.
Holding! Stand at ease. All right, everybody. We've had a very successful successful semester of training. We all survived, which is always a bonus. But now comes one of the truly fun parts. We have several warriors that need to be recognized for achieving their one warrior tab.
The following warriors come forward to be recognized: Joe D'Amico, Kevin Killoran, Zulgi Larson, Kadam Larson, and Chris Cowperthwaite.
Warriors, about face. Everybody, big round of applause to our new warriors and their one warrior tabs. All right, do this. All right, we have one last award to give out, and this is going to be an excellent award to give. Brent's good friends at Crossfire Packs have donated a pack to the warrior who was the hardest charger with the most fire in their belly. And almost unanimously, from every feedback I've got, this one person did all asked of them. This person did everything without complaint. This person did everything to the best of their ability. Brent Downing, front center.
Hi, fellas. Like I said, Crossfire, they donated a Mark 7 pack. If you guys don't know that, it's their big pack based on the old British SAS pack. Very big pack. You guys probably see me humping it around here. I've used it for several semesters, several iterations of training out here. Phenomenal pack. Crossfire supports what we do out here at One Shepherd. They've been an awesome, awesome resource for us. Okay? So with that being said, Tim, get on out here. He's tried to get out here for several semesters, but COVID hit. And on top of that, he's suffering from Parkinson's disease, right? But this hard charger still came out here and is hooking and jabbing, and all the OCs, as well as several students that were out there with him on the FTX, mentioned that he is still out there hooking and jabbing, motivating guys, taking charge, and leading the way. So Tim, that being said, on behalf of Crossfire Packs and One Shepherd, congratulations, brother. Thank you very much.
The two forces came together at the completion of the exercise, and we were all one team again. And as a team, we cleaned our weapons, we cleaned our equipment, we turned it in, and then we had a warrior's dinner of steak and beer. What better way to end the exercise? We hope you found this coverage of the Bravo Company One Shepherd 2022 spring semester helpful and informative. Please comment, like, and subscribe, and tune in for more coverage of One Shepherd events.